So yeah, hello everybody. I hope you enjoyed this presentation today. We're going to talk a little bit about web components from a perspective, I would say, from a Java perspective. So I prepared this thinking that you don't know what exactly web components are, maybe, or you have an idea, but you would like to see it, more from a coding perspective and kind of to break that image that you might have that you require a lot of things to create web components, or maybe to give you ideas or inspire you to create your own web components. So we see that not from a theoretical point of view, but from a practical point of view. And then I'd like to show you, after I do an introduction to web components, I want to show you how to use them from Java. And when I mean that, but what I mean by that is how to code Java instead of JavaScript and use web components still. Even create web components, though we won't get that far. Anyway, so my name is Alejandro Duarte. I work for Vaadin as a developer relations manager. I have a technical background, and I'm the author of a couple of books about the topic. Actually, I'm writing the third one. So if you like, if you want to learn more about Vaadin, you should follow me on Twitter probably, because I'm gonna announce there when the new book is ready. It's gonna be an introduction to modern Vaadin. So from, let's say, version 10 to up to 20 maybe. So so stay tuned in case you want to learn more about these at the end of this session. But this is not about me. This is about web components, right? So let's just do some coding. And for that, let me try to find my IDE. I'm using Eclipse today. And what I did is I just created a couple of projects, one for the second part of the demo or the presentation. But right now we are going to work on this web components demo. And this is just public folder with actually I have this from my rehearsal. Let's remove it. We're going to code everything from scratch. And I just created this file, right? And that gives me a kind of a template for an HTML document. So web components demo. And we're going to say here maybe hello. Let's add a paragraph that says this is a web component. And actually, this is not a web component yet. So I hope I can remember to fix this, right? So I'm gonna add this label over here, and let's add a div with a maybe a span could be all right. That says Java J Istanbul. Yeah, that's fine. Let's add an image as well. And the source is going to be, actually, I'm going to jump to this browser, Java J Istanbul. Let's copy the image link. That should work. And of course, it's white, so we cannot change it. Let's kind of change that a little bit. Style. Let's add HTML here and background color. I think I was going to use what was it? Dark slate gray. I think that looked all right, and of course color white as well, so that we can see the text. Okay, very good. So the image is there, but it's not styled that nicely. So let's add a class here for container. So I'm just creating some, HTML so we can play with it. Container, and that's gonna be, what can we do with this? I guess let's assign first of all a border, 1 pixel solid, and let's make it dark gray. That should work. Now, maybe we want some kind of margin. 1em should do padding 1em. Container image, let's fix that because it looks horrible right now with 100%. All right, so that's looking much better. So we have something to play with, but I'd like to also, let's format this thing. I'd like to add some behavior. So on click, it's going to be called when we click the image. We're going to create a new JavaScript function called animate element, and we pass the element that we want to animate. When this expression is called, the context would be so that this is the actual HTML element, which is the image. And now, if we can add a script here and create a function called animate element, we're passing the element right there. And what I'm going to do here is just class name animated. So it's going to use this. It's going to add dynamically, right? This animated. See.
Sorry, Alejandro, we cannot hear you. Can you speak?
Let me know. No?
Yes, now we can hear.
You can hear now.
Yes, there just 30 seconds like this, we couldn't able to hear you, but it's okay now.
It's well, at least I guess the code speaks by itself. So on click, we are calling this. We are adding an animated CSS class, and then we are going to add an event listener when the transition of 1 second ends. We're going to do something, but well, element dot class name. We remove now the class name so that we can click many times and play with this application. So now I can rotate this many times. Okay, so we have something now here to play with. Now, like I said, this is not a web component. I'd like to convert this into a web component. So let's fix that. And this is going to be now a web component. But so what would be cool is to have, instead of all this, right? Instead of all this stuff, it would probably be very nice to, oh, I guess the shortcut is not working for commenting this stuff. So instead of that, it would be cool to have a animated avatar that we are going to implement ourselves, right? And then we could add many of those and in several HTML documents, right? So how can we make this happen? This is what's called a custom HTML element. So we need a script again, script. And we need two things. So the first thing is to create a class, for example, called animated avatar, or whatever you can do. You can use any name that extends HTML element. And the second thing we need to do, this comes from, I'm not using libraries or anything here or frameworks or whatsoever. It comes from the DOM that the browser implements. All right, so this exists already. It's standard. And the other thing that it's standard is kind of a registry of custom elements, and that's the first standard that we are going to use today. We're going to use maybe only 2, but it doesn't matter. This is the first standard for web components. We can say that, and that's custom elements. As you can see, it's auto-completing because this again comes from the DOM, document object model, and we need to define, kind of register that new element that we are going to create, and it's called animated avatar. To avoid any typos, I'm going to copy and paste it here. So we specify the name of the tag and then the class, the constructor function. It's called in JavaScript, so it's this class. That's it. Now the browser knows that when it finds this element, it's going to use this class to render. Now we are not rendering anything at all. So let's do something. So JavaScript constructor, you always have to call super in JavaScript in the constructor. And after that, we can get this element, right? It's an HTML element, which is this tag over here. You can think about it that way. And we can set the inner HTML to whatever we want to visualize in the browser. And we want these. So let's actually move that over there. And so with that, we have the HTML back, right? If we inspect this, then you'll see that it's inside the animated avatar tag that we defined. Now I'm clicking this and it doesn't work. Of course, because we are calling something that's not, it's commented out. So let's transform this into a method here. So this is inside the class. Actually, let's do it. Yeah, that's fine. I think I was making a mistake, but no, I think it's all right. So this is outside the class. Good. So we have this function or method here. Now, the problem is that when this gets evaluated, this is not going to be the image. It's going to be something else. So we cannot do that. Instead, what I'd like to do is assign an ID. Let's call this img. That should do the trick. And after we define the inner HTML, let's say document dot get element by ID image, and we can let image be that thing, so we can play with it. And on click, it's going to be, oops, it's going to be lambda, the equivalent to a lambda expression in Java, but this is an arrow function. It's called in JavaScript, where we call this dot animate element wish element image, right? So let's see if that works. If not, we'll try to fix it. Oh, well, it works. Very good. No problem there. So now we have fixed that. So we are using kind of, I'm showing you what it takes to develop a web component, right? Okay, what else can we do here? Well, it would be great if this wasn't hard-coded there, but instead, if we could kind of, for example, say here, let me do it this way. What is this? Like title would be that thing. And then the image would be this URL. Let's copy it from there or move it. All right. That would be fantastic. But of course, we need to do something. So let's fix first the image, because we have the object already. Image. What do we need to do with image? We need to set this source attribute, correct? To what? I think it's better to do actually set attribute source to what? What's the value? This URL image. So we need to get this. We have it. We're in the same in that class. So that's this get attribute, and the attribute is called image. So let's see if that works. The image is there. You can see that the title is not. But we can do exactly the same for the title. So I'm gonna create an ID here. Let's call these actually like span. So we differentiate a bit better. And let's span, why not? Document.get element by ID. Span, then span dot. We need to set the inner text this time. It's gonna be this dot get attribute. Which one? Title. Right? So let's see if it works. Yeah, so it's working. Very nice. So we have now kind of a custom tag, custom HTML element, and we're using that. Now, there's more to the custom elements standard. There's, for example, there's a life cycle that the element goes through, and there are methods that we can override. So one of them is, for example, I think it's connected callback. It's kind of a bit of a weird name, I think, but it is a callback anyway. So maybe it's not that weird. It's just me. And we can move that. Maybe let's move that over here. What that? The callback, connected callback method. It's a lifecycle method that's called when the element is effectively attached to the DOM. By effectively, I mean when it's attached to a node, to a document node. So it's a document that's in the window, right? Not attached into something that's in memory. It's in this window already. So this gets called. Why am I doing that? Because I know that if we create this without these things, and then we could use JavaScript to set the values, then that wouldn't work because we already went through the constructor and those values are null. So in order to avoid that, I'm moving that to connected callback. All right, so that should work as before, no changes. Very nice. Okay, so what's the time? Okay, I think we have time. Let's explore something more. So for example, what if we wanted, how can I show you this? Okay, I know how. So let's move the styles over here for a moment. And actually only the styles that are kind of part of the web component, these are more like the application, right? Like the theme of the application. So we have the inner HTML, I can just paste it there. Let me format that. Okay. So it's the same, but let's say, you know what? I want, for this component, I want all span elements to be, can we do there? Maybe font style, I think it is. Italic. I hope that works. Yeah. So it's like that. And now let's change these to a span. It's possible that happened, right? So now we changed that, unfortunately. So one way to think about it is that we are contaminating the CSS of the application with the CSS of the custom components, right? So to solve that, web components offer another standard, which is now the second standard we are going to see. It's called shadow DOM. So to activate it, we need to first call attach shadow. And as you can see, maybe here, it receives an object that type. So we need to configure that, set the mode to always use open, right? If you use close, you won't be able to use this dot shadow root, which is kind of now, it's kind of another document. You can almost think about it. It's not exactly that, but it's like having another document. So what happens here stays there, all right? So we can, instead of setting the inner HTML for for the animated avatar element, which is this.inner HTML, we take the shadow root. So shadow root in the end, it is just a thing that it's inside the web component, and we can inspect that. Here it should show inside the animated avatar. All this stuff, by the way, it's because it's the synchronizing. It's a shadow root. So now it's inside that. All right, so yeah, so it's it's inside that. So now we have the shadow root. Let me check something over here for a second, please. Okay, I was hearing something through the headphones. So it's inside that. Now it's not working, and the problem is that it's not. Maybe we can see it in the console. There is a image is null. Which image? This image, because we are saying, hey, document get element by ID. Like I said, now we have kind of a different document. And we're using the document. Well, there's no such thing. I cannot see, the browser cannot see that. You're telling here the browser to look into the document. I don't see it. Instead of that, we need to use the shadow root. Okay, that should solve the issue, and it works. So this is Shadow DOM. Very quick introduction to Shadow DOM. Now, what if we want to offer our clients or the clients of these components, so our other developers and ourselves, but I'm speaking about in technical terms, the clients of these web components, the possibility to add things to it, because we need to extend this somehow. I'll show you one way to do that. So we can define here something called a slot, and we can give it an ID, for example, footer. And by doing that, then when we are using the web component inside the tag, I'm gonna do it here. You can define any kind of stuff here, a div, a span, all sort of HTML, anything. I'm just going to add a button that says, for example, website. And if we give one of these elements a slot, in this case, we have the footer, then it's going to be shown there. Why is it not being shown there? Let me see. All right, first demo effect. Am I using it correctly? Is it actually there? It is there. Why is this not working? Anybody? I have no idea what's going on. Okay, let's go. Let's do another round. If I don't find it, we'll fix it later after the talk, maybe. So a slot. Do I have my code over here? All right, I have no idea why it is not working. Is there any kind of typo? No, footer. All right, I don't know. It's not working. If anybody knows? If not, let's fix it later. Anyway, it should show the button there. It doesn't matter. So now we can add, I don't know, we can add more. We can add more web components here. Let's actually try that, and maybe we'll see if there are any issues. So for example, if I want to use, let's use Duke, and I know that the OpenJDK has a gallery with plenty of these guys. Let's pick one of them, maybe the cheerful. Copy image link. Let's use that. And let's see if that actually works. Let's remove this distracting code from there. So it works, right? So we are reusing, and this should work as well. Too bad this thing, it's bugging me so much that it's not working for some reason. I hope it's not styling or something. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Let's move on. Okay, so we have, what else can we do here? We have covered two standards. There's another standard called templates, HTML templates, that I'm not really going to cover. It's not necessarily needed here. But maybe the last thing I'd like to do is to move this thing to another file over here. So let's create a new JavaScript file called animated avatar.js, and paste all this. Let's format this stuff. And now what I can do is source equals animated avatar. Let's check that that works. So we have a very clean HTML, right? And an idea, I guess, of how to develop web components using vanilla JavaScript, no frameworks, nothing. You could use Lit, for example, with Element. The difference is that it has a ton of features, not a ton, but some features, and you will stand a different class here, and you'll get a bunch of interesting stuff. We're not going to get into that. I just want to make sure that you understand how to build a very basic web component, and that once you have packaged these somehow, in our case, we're using just JavaScript file. You can import it, load it into the browser, and start using the custom element, right? And as you can imagine, there are many web components available online. If you go to npmjs, for example, .com, you'll find, for example, called Picker, that it's a web component. There you go. In fact, I think, let me see if I can remember the name. I think it was vanilla, colorful. So one of my colleagues developed these web components. Let's have a look at it. And it's this thing here. You can pick a color, right? And drag and drop some stuff. And let's see if there's an example. Well, I guess this is the example, probably, right? But there are many. I think maybe there is an avatar, by the way. Let me check that. I haven't checked this, but okay, I can't find anything very quickly, but I bet there is kind of an avatar. I don't know if this is a web component. Let's see. React Avatar Editor. What is that? Let's have a look at it. Okay, it looks like it's a React component. So it's maybe different. Anyway, so there are components. There are many. I remember using some of these. Some of them are really funny. Some of them are super useful. Can you put the HTML code in the string in a separate file to get auto completion? It used to be possible when the HTML imports thing was a thing, but the cool thing is that most ideas, I don't think these actually autocomplete, so, or does it? Maybe it wasn't. It's not even colored, right? I'm using something called code mix, but what happens is that I think maybe through jQuery, but I'm not sure. It's actually a really good question. You don't have HTML imports anymore. It was deprecated, so browsers are not implementing that. It's kind of, you had an import here. That's not possible anymore. So the way it's done is by doing that. Now, if you're using lit element, for example, then you have something called HTML that kind of we're not using it here, and you have to import that library, of course. Kind of the editors are, the IDEs are smart enough to know that it's going to be HTML what goes there and offers auto completion. VS Code is very good for that. All right. Where was I? I think I was in the other screen over here. So I was talking about there are web components that are ready to use. And as you can imagine, there are also collections or set of web components, it's custom elements, and Vaadin offers one of those collections. I think could be over here. I don't know this website anymore. Okay, so UI components. You'll find a nice list of components, and the cool thing is that this is open source, free to use, all of this. And you find pretty much everything you will need in a business kind of application, right? So checkboxes, combo boxes with, for example, lazy loading. You can create custom fields by composing things. Date picker is probably, I would dare to say, if not the best, one of the best date pickers in the market right now. And these are, I'm going to click HTML here, so we see the examples. These are just web components, right? You can see. Something I forgot to mention is that all web components, the custom elements, should have a dash in the name. That's very important. That's how you can recognize them. And but there is an API for that components. Anyway, so back to the list of components here. One more. Okay, now we are there. Date picker, email, list box numbers, passwords. You mentioned it. It upload with multiple files and the possibility to cancel them as they are uploading, according buttons with colors. And all these is it's kind of what's called a design system. So it offers a documentation and there are tools to create kind of like your own site that shows how things look like. But a cool thing also is that it's kind of a theme and it's very easy to change. So for example, if you change this blue over here to something completely different to match your brand, it's going to change the blue on this style of button and on this, and probably the link and these checkboxes, all that, just by changing or adding one line of CSS code. So different menus, progress bars, tabs, tree, grid. Where is the grid? The grid is very powerful as well. It has a lazy loading and a bunch of things. Layouts to organize your components in the screen. And there are some pro components. These are not free, but it doesn't mean that you need them to build an application. It's just that it saves time. For example, CRUD. So with CRUD, you can quickly produce this kind of UI with all these operations: create, read, update, and delete. And even there's a spreadsheet for Vaadin 8. That's a kind of an older version of Vaadin. And what I want to show you is how to use that, how to use these components, but from Java. So let's get back to date picker that we're familiar with somewhat. So if I click Java and I see the examples, now I see Java code. I don't see HTML. So instead of creating that Vaadin date picker, that thing, you can do new date picker, right? So that's the cool thing about this framework, and I'm going to show you that. But also, I'm going to show you how to use this, how to incorporate that animated avatar into, or how to create a wrapper, let's call it like that, create a Java wrapper on top of this animated avatar so that I can do new animated avatar in Java, and then it gets shown in the in the browser. So okay, this is just a Spring Up Boot application. I created that on start.spring.io, but you can also go to vaadin.com, start.vaadin.com. And this is, no, I don't want to start the tour. The cool thing about it is that it kind of has all these layouts. This is a preview, by the way. It's just a starter, just like the Spring initializer. And you can add new views. So let's add master detail, right? Something very common to have in a business application. So it has all this scaffolding. It has, I think you can even create the entity here, but adding properties like this, whatever, and then you create your own entity. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. And kind of scaffolding an application, it generates code for you, and then you can go and optimize. Or if you don't want to have any views, you can also just remove everything, and even well, you can configure the theme, for example, dark, or change to orange. Well, I removed all the views, so this is really boring. But you get the idea. You get the idea, and you can select which Java version to use, etc. In my case, I used the Spring initializer, and you'll find Vaadin there as a dependency. You just have to add it. And the other thing that I did was, so this is the entry point of a Spring Boot application. I activated the dark theme because I want to make it look great, this screen. So this is dark and this is dark. It looks very nice. So I did that already, so we didn't waste too much time on that. That was the only thing I did here. Other than that, you can see there's not much. Application properties has nothing. Pretty empty project. In the pom.xml, you'll find that there's a dependency for Vaadin. That's it. Very simple stuff, right? So this by default is telling me it's in something called development mode. It's telling me, hey, you didn't have views. So I'm going to create a new one. This is a Java class called maybe Vaadin view. Let's call it like that. It's fine. And so I need to do a bunch of things here. So route is going to be, let's import that. Going to be like the URL. So when I'm here, I can put the name of the route, right? Whatever I specify here, but I'm specifying empty. Then I need to extend a new one existing component. So we want to show things like in a column, so vertically, vertical layout, extends vertical layout. And here in the constructor, but in view, what we can do is add stuff. So let me format this somehow. So let's do it this way. New H1. I was checking if you have any questions, please let me know. Hello. Let's add a new paragraph. I think we're using actually a span, but let's use a paragraph. Paragraph from this package that says this is a web component. And what else? What else did we have there? Oh, well, actually, the web component. Is this working, by the way? This is not working. Let me see. You know what? I'm gonna restart the server and see if that helps. Hopefully that helps. Spring Boot starting. What is it doing now? Okay, so it's doing something called kind of building the front end. So that those are kind of the web components. Oh, why is it not working? Why is this not working today? So weird. Am I running the correct application to begin with? All right, this is really weird. I wasn't expecting this. This is really, really strange. Really, really strange. Oh, let's try this. I have actually many projects in this Eclipse workspace. Maybe it's running a different one, but it shouldn't be running any different than this. So Spring Boot run. Let's try that. Run. At least I know I'm running the correct application, but it's dark, and I don't think I have any other applications with a dark theme. So, all right. Okay, it's working. We don't have much time. Let's see if we can make it. New avatar, animated avatar. And we are going to pass two things here. We're going to pass, where are those things? I'm gonna copy all this actually and fix it there. Gotta be fast now. Where's the other thing? Here, comma. Now this doesn't exist, so let's create that class. Sure, in the same package. Here we are. Now we need to have the file that we created here, animated avatar. So I need to copy it here or paste it in front end. Then we need to load that thing, JS module, and that is called animated avatar.js. Then we need to tell Vaadin what tag to show there, and that's the animated avatar tag. So now it knows what to show. Then we need to create a constructor here. Let's create this constructor with the title and the image. Very good. Now we need to get the element. Which element? Well, the custom element, the animated avatar. So can it be easier than just get element, right? We have now kind of a Java representation of this thing. Now we need to set the title attribute. Can it be easier than set attribute title, and we're gonna do the same for the image. Now, when we compile this, fingers crossed. There's nothing. What happened? Let's see. Okay, let me see. This seems to be all right. Let's inspect. Oh, we don't have that much time now. Okay. Let me see. We have the vertical layout. You say it's a web component, and we do have the animated avatar. Maybe we have an error. No errors. Maybe. Okay, I'll just try this. We don't have much time, so let's try this. And if it works, great. If not, at least we saw the web components part. I think if 45 minutes is so little to this presentation, but it doesn't matter.
Sorry, we have 30 minutes breaks after you, so you can finish, or you can finish whenever you want.
Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, so if you guys want, okay, perfect. Okay, that's very good. Good to know. Okay, so I don't need to go that fast. Animated avatar. So it's probably
There's a command.
A typo.
What?
Sorry?
There's a command. Maybe it's the solution. I sent you. Okay, if you control the chat screen, typo in line 7. Animated avatar.
It says that there's a typo in line 7 in animated avatar.java. Yeah, in Java file.
Thank you. Yeah, let's fix that. Animated, I think now it's correct. Animated avatar.js.
This
That's
command,
correct.
by the way, comes from Jonathan Klein.
Oh,
Jonas
nice.
Klein.
Thank you.
Thanks to
Yeah, for some reason I cannot see the chat and oh, now I can, the questions at the same time, but thank you for the help. Let's see if we can see the animated avatar here. Ah, yes, beautiful. So we have the Java wrapper. This is a Java wrapper. Now we are using it. Just new animated avatar. That's it. Now there are more things here. So it's not that you have to create your own web components if you want to build an application here, because you can use, like I said, existing ones. And Vaadin, I'm using something called Vaadin Flow here. So Vaadin Flow is this framework that allows you to type Java and see things in the browser. No plugins, no nothing, just web components. So we create more things here. So for example, we can add remember all those web components I showed you here, including the date picker. So we can use them here right away because there's already a Java wrapper for that in the library. So let's create a new text field that says name. Let's create a new combo box. Yeah, and it's typed, so I could use user group order bicycle, whatever you want to use. We're going to use string. I don't know where I said bicycle. Anyway, and this is going to be the feedback. And the options are, let's say this is a good talk, but maybe it's actually a bad talk or boring, very boring talk. So let's offer that option too. And let's create a button, Vaadin button to send that feedback. Let's say if I should be able to see that in the browser. Okay, are the options there? Yes, thank you. Very nice. Now let's create a click listener. So this is the click event, and here we can code anything that's going to be executed when we click the send button. So I probably need to extract this to a new variable, and I guess I should do it with this one as well. And var. Nice. Okay. So you can imagine, I'm not going to do that right now, but you can imagine a service that has a send feedback method or whatever it's the architecture there, where you send the values in the what is it, text field dot get value, etc. I'm not gonna implement that part, but I guess you can imagine that having that, and then that saves the feedback in a web service or send it to or in a database or send it to a web service. But then we can show a notification to let the user know that we receive your feedback, get value, right? So I'm getting the value from the text field. And what else? Well, that will, I think that gives you an idea of what I'm going after, right? So for example, let's say John was watching this talk and it was really boring for him. So he sends that, thank you, John. But there was Maria, and she said, you know what, that was actually a good talk, and she sent that feedback. Thank you, Maria. So let's rotate this once again. I think this is what I want to show you today. Kind of some of the standards to make web components possible, very basic stuff, and then how to create a Java wrapper using Vaadin. You find more information about Vaadin at vaadin.com. There are plenty of tutorials, books, everything you need. All the documentation. if you want to, again, this is a bit of a marketing here. If you want to know when my book is out, follow me on Twitter or drop me a line on, you find a form at programmingbrain.com or alejandro@avadin.com through email. That's fine also, whatever you want to. I'm happy to discuss anything about this. Maybe try to find why the slot didn't work. But yeah, I think I don't want to steal too much time from you guys. Thank you for extending the session to the organizers. That was brilliant. And I hope you enjoyed the presentation. If there are any questions, I'm happy to answer if there's time, of course.
Thank you, Alejandro. There's a question. I will send you via chat. Can we access to this source code? They're asking.
Yes, I'm gonna, you know what, let me share this code on GitHub and we can, I'm going to, maybe I can share it on Twitter at some point.
Okay, you can send that. I can share them later or just Twitter.
Okay, yeah, that's brilliant. If not, if you are not on Twitter, you can also, well, you can use this, programmingbrain.com, and just drop me a message there. I'll get an email. And if not, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm anywhere you can find me or wherever. Yeah. But if Twitter works, that's great. Yeah, I'm gonna make this available for sure and see so that the person can fix the. It's probably a small mistake they made. I made many, and I have done these like 10 times. So.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. A great conference. I really like how you are organizing this, and looking forward to the next edition.
Thanks. Goodbye.
Bye bye.